What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here. I hope everybody's having a wonderful week, bro. Just the Final Fantasy VII Remake entire presentation and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild getting a sequel has made my entire week, man. I've been having a blast this week, bro. After seeing Cloud and Tifa and Sephiroth and Barret in all of their glory, even Marlene, Jesse, Biggs, I'm like, dog, FF7, man. And here in the legendary battle theme, I've rewatched the presentation so many times, and along with reactions, man, it's been on loop, basically. And then you got Breath of the Wild, man, with the greatness. Yeah, I remember when that game came out, basically it took a couple weeks hiatus off the channel, except for One Piece. You know, One Piece was the only thing that I covered in those couple weeks. Everything else was on hiatus, because that's how amazing Breath of the Wild was to me. And I've always loved Zelda, too. But the fact that those two franchises are putting out awesome sauce now, man, it's so good. And of course, you had the Halo, and Modern Warfare didn't show off many things, so it is what it is when it comes to that. But Cyberpunk, my boy Keanu Reeves, man, and Gears, and you got Astral Chain. I mean, great stuff this week. Pokemon's looking good. So there's a lot of stuff I'm looking forward to, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. But Final Fantasy stuff, just hearing that theme, man, and seeing all of this stuff that I remember so clearly, bro. Like right before they're about to enter the mansion, and it just brings back great vibes, man. And seeing other people's reactions that were like me, and it's so cool, man. It's been a fun week, just with a lot of joy. And E3 is always great, but this one in particular has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, and it's always fun when E3 comes around because it's not really about the presentations to me. It's all about the community getting together to talk about one particular thing. It's why I love the weekly One Piece experience so much, because we basically, whenever a hype chapter comes out, that's like an E3 week for me. Because whenever a hype One Piece chapter comes out, the entire One Piece community gets together to talk about the awesome sauce, man. Whether it's a discussion over here, theories over here, it's always fun. It's always fun, man, because we can all just get together and talk about greatness. And that's exactly why I love the E3 experience so much. But that's only one time a year. The rest of it, and sometimes, you know, it can be anywhere between 35, 36 to 42 weeks out of the year, we get a chapter from Oda, man, and it's always a lot of fun. But here today in today's installment of the Recon's piece, man, we're going to be talking about a list. And y'all know how I love my ranking lists, man, specifically when it comes to ranking the arcs. This is something I've done multiple times on the channel, but it's always been manga exclusive. And for the first time, something that I've been wanting to do for a while, somebody else has done it. Shout out to Daniel Dockery for doing this, because I know the amount of time and the amount of effort and the amount of juggling you must have done in order to put this list together, because there's so many amazing arcs in the series, and you know, we love every single last one of them, man. And, you know, having to put one over the other is extremely tough, but you rank them, and I truly do respect you for that, dog. So, because whenever I saw this idea pop up on my Twitter, by Daniel Dockery, I was like, yo, I gotta do a Recon's piece on this, man. I have to do Recon's piece reacting to this, because I love listening and or seeing and or watching other people's adventures and journey through the One Piece series. That's why I love watching One Piece reactions. That's when somebody's watching One Piece, I love kind of either watching it alongside them, but I'm not next to them. Like, most of the time they're messaging me about the hype, and it's always fun seeing how certain parts in the adventure really affect certain people, because of course everyone's different, but there's certain parts in One Piece that really resonate with people differently. Like, for example, for me with Jaya and Return to Sabaody, like, some people out there probably say, man, why does this guy have those two arcs so high? They're transitionary arcs, but to me those arcs mean something very, very special. And that's why I love watching top 10s or entire arc rankings for the series, because you really get to see which parts resonate with certain people. And I love that, man. So thank you very much, Daniel Dockery, for allowing me the opportunity in order to go back and see your experience and your journey here with the series, as you rank all 49 of the arcs in the One Piece anime. And what makes this so cool to me is, like I said, every time that I've gone on here and either watched or done my own or listened to a podcast or seen lists, it's almost all mainly manga. We're almost always going straight off of the manga and how the weekly experience changed things, or how we binged through certain things, whatever the case may be. But this one is an anime list that also includes the filler arcs, and to me this is going to make it very, very interesting to see where certain arcs come into the list. So once again, man, thank you. We're going to be reading this off of Crunchyroll.com. Once again, it's coming from Daniel Dockery, and it's going to be ranking all 49 One Piece anime arcs Yes, even the filler. And I'm going to leave a link to this list either in the description or in the comments section. Just keep a lookout for that because I want you to follow along with if you want. If not, then I'll just be reading it off to you. But definitely, man, I once again, I really do appreciate you making this list because I always appreciate just listening and or seeing, once again, other people's adventures through the series. And to me, whenever I see someone else ranking all of the arcs, it's always awesome because you get to see truly every single portion of the adventure and how it affected you and how it resonated with you. How certain parts didn't resonate as much, how other parts really did resonate, and that's what makes this series so much fun. But anyways, I'm going to be going through the list, but before that, I'm going to read a little summary right here before it. It says, on July 7th, the long-awaited Wano arc of One Piece begins, and I cannot wait for that. I continue to rewatch that teaser trailer over and over and over again. Why? Because it looks glorious, man. How could I not? It even has the original We Are instrumental at the end of the, you know, from episode 1 to episode 516, whenever it had the We Are instead of We Go. Of course, We Go didn't exist, but the We Are version of To Be Continued, and it goes into the next episode portion of it. That it had that theme accompanying the Wano for 30 seconds. And it's like, man, dude, that was fantastic. Just not only hearing the nostalgic music, but then seeing all these fantastic new visuals. Wano looks so colorful. But anyways, and because we're about to jump into an arc that's been building up for 11 years, highly factual, I think it's as good a time as any to rank all 49 of the arcs that we have already. And I'm going to include the filler arcs too, because even though many of them can't really hold a candle to the main narrative, which is factual, I think a few of them are quite underrated, which is also factual. So coming at number 49, we have Buggy's Crew Adventures. And you know, when I think of Buggy's Crew Adventures, I always think of why doesn't the anime do that more? Why don't we take color pages and make them more arcs, man? I mean, seriously, there's so much material. There's so many filler arcs that could, or I'm not going to say that. In certain portions, I wish that they would do what they're currently doing with the 500 million belly man stuff. Like, for example, there was this one episode recently in the Reverie arc, I believe it was 884 or 885, that took a couple of those cover pages and put them as filler within the episode itself and stretch it out. I don't mind filler like that whenever it comes on, man. Hell, I love it. I love seeing the cover pages whenever they're animated, because the cover pages are usually so much fun. I mean, I understand some cover pages you can't do because they would really make it a filler arc, but there's certain color pages that we want to see, like the NL Moon one. Come on, who wouldn't want to get a 4-episode filler of NL on the Moon with space pirates? Who wouldn't, bro? But anyways, still can't believe there's not a filler arc on that. But anyways, Buggy's Crew Adventures. And I'm going to read what it says right here. This isn't really an arc so much as a sigh of relief after the runaway train of emotion after the last few episodes of Our Long Park. You can laugh at Buggy for a bit after watching Nami's soul get ripped apart and then put back together again. Absolutely, yo. So coming in number 49 is Buggy's Crew Adventures. Coming in number 48 is Post Alabasta. You know, video game side quests that are basically around to level up your specific partner characters so that they don't get immediately wiped out in boss fights. This is the anime filler arc version of that. It's fun, though. Yeah, that's actually a really, really good analogy on that. You see, Post Alabasta, for me, is probably one of my most least rewatched arcs. I actually really do enjoy the Buggy's Crew Adventures. Well, that's because I enjoy Buggy's Crew a lot. So that one's much higher for me. But Post Alabasta, I'd have it down here, for sure. And I think it's mainly due to, maybe it's due to its placement, but I don't know. I mean, they're really fun episodes of the crew just hanging around and certain things, but I don't know, man. I mean, it's enjoyable, but it's I'd still put other arcs above it for sure. Foxy's Return, man. The legendary, what is that, episodes 223 to 226? I love Foxy and I love the David Back fight arc, but Foxy's Return doesn't quite hit home. I agree with that 100%. Because I also love Foxy and David Back. That's another arc I have really high. The David Back fight. That's another arc I always have to continue to argue with individuals for some reason about why that's so high. But I can't help it, man. It's hilarious. And it's fantastic. In both the anime and the manga. I would even go as far to say not only just the anime, the Davy Back fight is good in the anime, in the English dub, and in the sub. That is a fantastic arc in the anime, man. It might be because we last saw Foxy 6 episodes ago, but it truly speaks to Foxy's character that he tried to make a grand dramatic return after he got the crap kicked out of him so recently. Yeah, Foxy's Return to me would probably end up being on here toward the latter half as well, just due to the simple fact that, just like it states right here, the original David Back fight was so incredible that this one, of course, had a lot to live up to, man. I mean, yo, Afro Luffy, son. Oh, I can't wait to see where David Back fight is on this list then, because if you also love David Back fight, I can't wait to see how high it is. Spa Island, man. This is one of those filler arcs to me, bro, that is definitely gonna be down there. It might even be last. And Foxy returns and wait, no. I don't think this is the one that I'm thinking of. I think it is. Is this the one I'm thinking of? Foxy returns again in Spa Island, though this filler arc is mostly notable for the fact that Luffy uses Gear 3rd to split an artificial island in half. That alone wins this arc points. I think this one is pretty low for me as well, if I'm not mistaken. Cause yes, it is this one. I'm sorry. I was mixing this up with another one. Yeah. This one is pretty low as well. Warship Island, man. Yo, this one kind of hurts. And I'm not gonna lie though. The reason why I have Warship Island on the higher tier of my One Piece arcs, or not One Piece arcs, but One Piece filler arcs list, is mainly due to the fact that when I originally went through it, to me, if it would have been canon, I would have been okay with it. I would have been okay with it, man. Maybe at the time, probably. Maybe now, I'd probably be like, man, Oda, what are you doing? But I don't know, man. Even now, when I go back and rewatch that arc, it still gets to me, bro. And maybe it is because it's the OG 5, the OG East Blue 5 on this adventure. I don't know, man. I really enjoy it. Warship Island isn't a bad filler arc. It's a victim of poor placement. It comes right after Luffy Town, right after the Straw Hats have each declared their dreams. One of my favorite scenes in the series. So it becomes a pit stop arc, like the Straw Hat crew getting gas and snacks before they head out on the Grand Line. Now, I see where you're coming from right there, man. This would definitely be on the higher end of mine. No question. Little East Blue. I like to think Little East Blue's celebration of pre-time skip One Piece, where the Straw Hats get deservedly celebrated for a bit. It's cute and it's a nice prologue to the Strong World movie. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. I feel like Little East Blue has that it has that type of yeah. I would definitely say that Little East Blue, it just, whereas the other arcs have that some of them have a really emotional ending and like an extreme you have at least really some memorable characters like an Apis or whatnot. You're going back to the Warship Island arc, comparing it to that one. But this one right here, it would probably be somewhere like in the mid-40s, like this for me as well, just mainly due to the fact that it is a celebration of the Straw Hats, man, and it is a nice prologue to the strong movie. That is true. I was like, yo, man, Z's ambition. The filler arcs that precede the movies are not a bunch, as they tend to end with the main villain of the movie showing up in the last 5 minutes and clearing their plans. So it's hard to enjoy them on their own. That said, Z's ambition has enough action that even if you don't watch film Z, but you should, as it's great, you won't really mind the cliffhanger finale. I like this one. I like Z's ambition. Z's ambition to me would probably be on the higher part of the filler arcs list for me. This one was extremely enjoyable, and I think it had some of my favorite filler arc action scenes for sure. It was some fun stuff. Straw Hat separation. Man, dude. After Kuma wiped off the crew, the special episodes show where they all ended up. No, man. Yo, this right here is probably my favorite out of all the fillers. I'd have to think about that, though. I really have to think about that. But I think this one is probably my favorite. Just because this is what I love so much about post Marineford, was seeing where they were and how they were handling it, you know, and because, man, listen, bro, after Akuma separated the Straw Hats, I wanted to know immediately. We're in the Flying Flag Guards. these individuals were. And the fact that the anime actually provided answers to that, because in the manga we had to rely on cover pages, but in the anime you actually got to see it after Amazon Lily, and I was like, yes, bro. Like, you know? After Kumo went off the crew, the special episodes show where they all ended up, and it's mainly a montage of the Straw Hats being confused, and don't get me wrong, the Straw Hats do confusion like nobody's business, but you get more out of their separation in the post-war arc when they finally get around to business. Okay, I understand it from that end. I'd still have it on the higher tier for me, and when it comes to filler arcs. Diary of Kobe Meppo. Kobe's a character that has always deserved more time, so any few episodes devoted to him, and Helmeppo training to be Marines is welcome. Also, my dude Garp shows up for the first time, which means that I've rewatched these two episodes far more than I should. Yeah, no, Kobe Meppo is another, it's another reason why I always go back and say, why don't we do cover pages more often, man? That was such an awesome filler. And I really wish that they would just do more of them, man. Definitely agree with that placement. Goat Island. Goat Island doesn't feel as classic as G8, nor it is as entertaining as Ocean's Dream. In fact, it's about as fluffy as the goats that appear in it. But a 3-episode arc, yo, I'm glad you liked Ocean's Dream, yo. So do I. But anyways, a 3-episode arc where Chopper talks to ghosts and Luffy doesn't beat up a villain, but rather causes him to get shipwrecked, I'm for it. Goat Island for me would probably be... I'd probably put Kobe Meppo and the Straw Separation above it, for sure. The Chopper Man special! Chopper Man has Chopper in a cape. It's worth it for that. Please add me, Chopper Man. You're my hero, and I hope you one day get a Chopper Man and Sogeking Save the Grand Line special. Chopper Man for the flippin' win, man. Those episodes were GOAT. Number 38, Romance Dawn. Nah, bro, this was just hurt. Romance Dawn establishes a lot of things that'll become classic tropes in One Piece: going to a new island, meeting new crew members, helping out little kids, taking on a power-hungry warlord, etc. It's a blueprint arc, and it works well as that. Sadly, the anime would not continue to introduce a Straw Hat character with the red guitar idea like they do with Zoro here. Man, yo, I'm not gonna lie to you. Romance Dawn is towards the higher half of just my manga list. It's a little bit past the halfway point. But when I'm thinking about it from the anime standpoint, would I still have it that high? Because now I'm like, I gotta think about it from them. Because when I first started, I was like, no, there's no way. But I was thinking about it from a manga's point of view. From the anime point of view, man, I can't disagree. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, because in the anime, it truly is 3 episodes. And so, and it doesn't even include, you don't even get the Shanks flashback till Orange Town. Yeah, yo. I can't believe I just said that, because I love Romance Dawn so much. But, yo, this really opened my eyes. Like, yeah, if we were to do it just off of the anime, Romance Dawn would probably end up being towards the end like this. Wow, yo. Dang, Orange Town. Ooh, and the Great Punch. The East Blue Saga only gets better as it goes along, and Orange Town provides a nice counter to Romance Dawn. For example, if Axel and Morgan represented the seriousness of the Marine threat in the last arc, then Buggy represents the other side of the villains. The Straw Hat crew will encounter cartoonish, loud, and beaten in a really fun way. You know what? After really giving it some thought, because, of course, like I said, I would have this the other way around if this was in the manga. Orange Town is definitely towards the latter half of my arcs in that sense. But, man, you know what? Anime-wise, I think I'd have to agree. I think I would have to agree with Orange Town being higher than Romance Dawn. Yo, Ruluka Island. Ruluka Island feels like condensed One Piece. Like you just add some water to turn this 4-episode arc into 20-episode one. It's a nice arc to stretch your legs in before you go into the big themes of Jaya. For sure. I can definitely see what you mean by that. You know, this arc right here tends to get lost because it comes right before Jaya. It has like that, for me at least, it has that placement problem. Like you said, it comes right after Town. For me, Ruluka Island, I guess because I have Jaya so high, usually whenever I'm going back and rewatching, after Rainbow Mist, I'm like, yo, I'm going straight into Jaya. Like, I need my Jaya greatness. So Ruluka Island will probably be on the lower half of mine, but definitely that was a fun one. Ice Hunter. Ice Hunter is neat because it gives every member of the Straw Hat crew a little time to shine in a story that is action-packed and intriguing. If you missed pre-time skip One Piece and haven't watched the Ice Hunter arc, give it a shot. I actually agree with this. The Ice Hunter arc is awesome, and it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's action-packed, and it definitely shows off the characters in a very special OVA type of way. Like they all get like the character moments and whatnot. It's a nice one. It's a nice one. Marine Rookie. This is a recent one, but it's a fun one, man. It really is. I know we're all eager to see the Straws reunite in Wano, but if you want to see more of Whole Cake's Sanji retrieval team, the Marine Rookie arc makes for a solid bonus round. Absolutely. Also, the only reason it starts is Luffy eats all the Straw Hat supplies, which logically should be the beginning of way more One Piece arcs. For real, right? For real. No, man, definitely agree with the Marine Rookie placement. Really, really fun stuff. And some of the recent filler arcs have been a lot of fun. Silver Mine. If you didn't get enough Bartolomeo and Dressrosa and Surprise, they made a filler arc just for you. That was, Silver Mine was a blast. I remember going through that weekly experience, and that was great. Boss Luffy, man. Listen, I just recently watched Special number 4. Special number 4, man. It led me into rewatching I did it twice. I rewatched the Boss Luffy specials before the Wano arc started in the manga, and now I did it again after watching the special episode 4 for the TV specials episode 4. Man, dude, Boss Luffy. The thing is that the placement of it is very, very bad because it's in the middle of all that Enies Lobby craziness. But whenever you just watch the episodes in themselves and watch them back to back to back, they are so much fun. The setting, the alternate world, the characters, man, it's so great. It's so great. This is definitely my higher half too. You know when you fall asleep watching a show and you wake back up and in your grogginess suddenly whatever is on TV looks insane? That's what happened to me with Boss Luffy. I just finished watching Ace's fight with Blackbeard and then boom, I was out. Then I wake up and see the Straws in 19th century Japan. The Boss Luffy stuff is fun. But I think it's best viewed when you're in a delirious half-sleep. That's just my personal preference, though. Yeah, Boss Luffy, man. Caesar Retrieval. Shout out to the Kung Fu Dugongs, man. Caesar made for a fine antagonist and a punk hazard, but it's even better as a shrieking dead weight that the Straw Hat crew and company have to keep alive. That was a fun arc, man. Really, really nice character dynamics with him and Law, too, and their interactions. That was great. Little Garden. Little Garden isn't as cool as Whiskey Peak, nor does it provide the emotional gut punch of Drum Island. Instead, it's mainly here to further the theme of what it means to be a true warrior and introduce giants and dinosaurs in Luffy's universe. It gives Usopp some of the character development that he needs, and Zoro almost cuts off his own feet in an effort to keep fighting. Any arc that illustrates how hard Zoro gets at least one thumbs up from me. That Zoro scene in Little Garden is still one of my favorite Zoro moments. It is one of the Zoro moments, you know. But Little Garden. Man, every time I think of this arc, I think of Believe. You know, opening 2. I always think of the opening 2 whenever I think back to Little Garden. But Little Garden, man, you know, with the whole Dory and Broggy's story. Whenever I first finished catching up to One Piece, which of course I did it through the anime first, Little Garden was on the lower half of my art. And, you know, honestly, to this day, it's still like in the middle whenever I think of it from a manga standpoint too. But now I definitely look back on it with much more love for it than I did whenever I first watched the series. Which, even though I still enjoyed it a lot, to me, like I said, it was stuck between Whiskey Peak and Drum Island. And Drum Island I absolutely adore, and same thing with Whiskey Peak. So I can definitely see why you have it there, especially when I'm looking back on it from the anime standpoint. The anime did definitely stretch out Whiskey Peak a little longer than they should have. Or not Whiskey Peak, I'm sorry, Little Garden. They stretched out Little Garden a little longer than they should have. Whiskey Peak was perfect in the anime. But, so I can definitely see why its placement is here. But it's still an awesome arc, like you said. And one of my favorite Mr. Prince moments is in this arc too, man. Shout out to Sanji. Logue Town, man. See, now this one, if we're going just off of anime, Logue Town for me it might even be top 10 list. Well, I'd have to think about it. It'd be in the top half. Logue Town had the Roger fillers, man. I can still go back to this very day, rewatch Logue Town, Daddy the Father, Goldie Roger, Smoker as a kid, Smoker, Buggy. You know, that Luffy scene is done so well in the anime, man. Whenever he's looking up towards the execution stand, whenever he's about to be executed, lightning comes down, dragon. Oh, I love this arc in the anime. In the manga, I don't enjoy it as much. Honestly, whenever I went back and reread the series, Luffy Town kind of went down a bit on the list. So I have multiple rereads because I've done it in the manga. But whenever I go back and rewatch this arc in the anime, I remember exactly why it is that I love it so much. So, man, dude, Luffy Town. But anyways, going back to your list, Luffy Town is a fun arc when you consider just how much it expands on the scope of the world. Smoker and Tashigi truly begin the Navy's quest to stop the Straw Hats. Dragon gets introduced in a big, mysterious way, and Luffy takes a massive step in establishing himself in the realm of pirating. However, the Straw Hats side stories in the middle, aside from Zoro's awesome bit in the sword shop, slows it down a bit. Man, the Sanji cooking stuff, Daddy the Father, Zoro, like you said, the Zoro and Kuina episode. I was just rewatching that portion the other day. That was some great stuff, man. I love the way the anime handled the scene whenever he's risking it and the blade just going right around his arm. Man, the anime does a great job with that scene. But man, just that arc having some, man, it has Roger flashbacks. But maybe it's because I'm extremely biased with Roger flashbacks or something. But I know I am biased with the Roger flashbacks. But Luffy Town, bro, coming in number 29 on Crunchyroll list. All right. Dead on Dockery's list. Okay, so we're number 28. Zou. Oh my. Zou might be one of the most visually rich arcs in the series, from the massive elephant to the mink tribe to the terror of Jack to more lessons about the poneglyphs. There's a lot shoved into the short span, and between the intense epics of Dressrosa and Whole Cake Island, it fits nicely as 10 cc's of wonder and fantasy injected into New World. Zou for me, in the anime, it's something I'd really have to think about, because in the manga, I love that arc so much, but in the anime, sometimes, because that arc, they really stretched out certain portions, it's definitely less enjoyable in the anime to me than in the manga. It suffers from what a little bit of the post-time skip has had so far. Or I shouldn't even say post-time skip, but a little bit of what the series has had in certain arcs, where certain parts are really, really, really stretched out. And as much as I still do enjoy the Zou arc in the anime, I'd probably have it down here too. Whenever just thinking about it from an anime manga comparison, I'd probably have Zou down here as well. But next, Fishman Island. Fishman Island occupies a weird spot. It's thematically heavy, but also serves as the action-packed Straw Hat Crew comeback tour. It needs to stand on its own, but it also caps off with a declaration of war against Big Mom, a villain that won't be encountered for years. And all, I feel that the importance of the Fishman Island arc is yet to be realized. I agree 1000% with that. Now, talking about the Fishman Island arc in the anime, man. The Fishman Island arc in the anime, to me, when I think back on it, I love it in parts. There's certain parts where... How do I put this? Because anytime I sit down and watch One Piece, it's always enjoyable. But I'm comparing it to how much I enjoy it as compared to the manga, right? Whenever I reread through Fishman Island in the manga, it's a blast from beginning to end. When I rewatch this arc, there are certain portions to where I'm like, all right, I really, really can't wait to until we get to the next part. And so I feel like the 540s with the Otohime flashback and the Fisher Tiger flashback, from there up until the walk to the Giancorde Plaza is fantastic, right? And then you have couple episodes dedicated to each of the Straw Hats going absolutely into like swimwear, showcasing their new abilities. It's fun in its own right. And then you have Luffy vs. Hody, which is extended in itself, but there's bits and pieces that are really good in there. Post Fishman Island is really well done in the anime. Post Fishman Island has some really nice just episodes that you can take certain scenes and just rewatch them all the time on YouTube. But other than that, I mean, the beginning of the arc too has certain key points. The color palette for Fishman Island is really, really nice, especially whenever you first get into it. But I can definitely see why it's in the lower half of the list, because I'd probably have it in the lower half of my list when it comes to the anime arcs. It's definitely one of those arcs that stretches even going beyond even what Oda intended when it came to Fishman Island. So I can definitely see why it is that that you have this on the lower end here. Ocean's Flipping Dream. One of the two final filler arcs. One of the final two filler arcs on this list. Ocean's Dream seems like One Piece fan fiction in the best way. If you were dissatisfied with Luffy's fight with Zoro on Whiskey Peak, you get another round. You get another round of it here while Zoro is being mind controlled. Ocean's Dream, man. I will never forget finishing the Davy Back fight and going to Ocean's Dream and just being like, holy sweet mother of flag nards, what am I watching, dog? Because I was like, yo, is this filler? Is this filler or is it not, coach? Ocean's Dream was a lot of fun, man. And just the whole memory loss that accompanies it, and I always enjoy whenever that plot point is used within any type of series, but specifically here, I'm just trying to get everything back together with all of them, and it was a blast. Ocean's Dream, you know. I'm in number 26. 25, Syrup Village. If Romance Dawn and Orange Town were warm-up laps, Syrup Village's One Piece begins to break out in a sprint. The introduction of Usopp and the Going Merry make for some great moments, and it's this arc that got me hooked on One Piece when I first started watching it. You know, Syrup Village would probably be towards the middle for me when it comes to the anime, specifically for the reason you just said. Syrup Village, whenever not only when I watched this for the first time, but whenever I go back and rewatch the series in both Japanese and in English, this stuff right here is so much fun in the anime, man. This is actually one of those arcs that I probably say I enjoy even slightly more than I do in the manga in certain aspects because of how well it is done. Syrup Village, there's just certain parts that are just really good. The final farewell between all of them, the legendary Gum Gum suspension bridge scene from the dub is absolutely fantastic. The banter that you have between Luffy, Zoro, and Nami coming onto this island after Orange Town. Seeing Usopp and his story, and whatnot, and of course Kuro and his heel turn, and just Kuro's entire demeanor on screen, animated and in action. That entire battle sequence, whenever Luffy's going up against Kuro, is a lot of fun. Django in the anime, you know, great stuff. So, Syrup Village greatness. Coming in number 25 on this list. Number 24, Dressrosa. Before I even read into it, I agree. You know, Dressrosa to me, in the manga, I would love that arc so much, man. When it comes to the anime, though, when I sit down and watch it, I am enjoying it so much, man. I am seriously enjoying almost every single second of it. But it's one of those arcs that whenever I look back on it, I'm like, bro, why in the flying flagnards is it so long in the anime? Like, seriously. I mean, I understand it's a 100 chapter arc in the manga, but man, dude, there's certain parts in the anime that are stretched out pretty heavily. But the thing is that Dressrosa in the anime, it's like half and half because they handle those key scenes so well. Man, the Coliseum was such a blast to watch, bro. Luffy versus Doffy, Law's flashback. I mean, that Rocinante, that Corazon and Law flashback in the anime is SS plus tier. It is so good. Such great stuff. Zoro's episode, 2 episodes, whenever he was taking on Pika at the very end, whenever he used the Daisensekai. Beautiful. Robin and Usopp shenanigans for the beginning of the arc. Really, really fun stuff. Lao G, my boy. Senor Pink and Frankie. All really fun episodes, man. I mean, you look back on it and you think about all these awesome episodes that were taking place within this. But it's like the entire package. Man, dude, I'd probably have to say that whenever it comes to the anime, at least, I don't know, bro. Not when I think about it. When I think about it, because I really... It's like I said, man. When I look back on it, like, right now, whenever I was just first started thinking about it, I was like, yeah, Dressrosa would be in the letter. I don't know, bro. Even with everything being stretched out, you still had so many awesome moments. But I don't know. Because, man, like I said, I love... Dressrosa in the manga, for me, is top 10 arc. No question. But just thinking about it in the anime, I don't know, man. I don't know. But let me see your reasoning right quick. Dressrosa, for better... sometimes for worse, is massive. Doflamingo's a threat that had been popping up since the Jai arc, but because of Dressrosa's scope, his defeat can feel a little lackluster, especially when you consider that he's a pit stop on the road to Kaido. But Dressrosa introduces the endlessly cool Fujitora and the Straw Big Powered Alliance, and also gives us the dual backstories to Law and Doflamingo. Doflamingo's backstory was done really, really well in the anime too. Neither of which disappoint. Also, Doflamingo's abilities lead to some of the coolest action scenes in the series. I agree with that too. I definitely agree with that. I don't know, man. It's so tough. Like, now... If I were to make this list without really thinking about it, I'd probably have Dressrosa towards the latter half too. But man, I don't know, man. I don't know. I would have to, bro, because I'm saying this about Dressrosa, but the other arcs are just so compacted and done so well. Because for me, Dressrosa, without question, I enjoy more in the manga. There's other arcs that they're so close. So you know what? I'd have to agree. Dressrosa would be towards the latter half of my anime list, but God, this arc is so enjoyable. There's just certain portions that are done so well, man. But the entire package, I most certainly prefer the manga, so I agree with you there. Number 23, I'm not going to lie to you, yo, I almost teared up here. Number 23, Return to Sabaody. My heart hurts. My heart hurts, man. The post-time skip starts with a bang as the Return to Sabaody arc is both hilarious and thrilling. The Straw Hats get to show off their newfound strength as they do when what they definitely couldn't do in the first Sabaody arc, easily knock out a pacifista. And we also get to meet the fake Straw Hat crew, which does a nice job of illuminating just how much the legend of Straw Hats has grown since they were last together. Now listen, man. First of all, I'm very happy you have it this high anyway. A lot of people don't usually have it this high because of the transitionary arc. Return to Sabaody, both for me in the anime and the manga, is extremely high. I mean, you see volume 61 back there. That is my arc. That is my arc, man. And I can definitely understand, like I said, why it is that this arc could be so low, because, you know, it's a very small arc. You know, it's a very, very short arc. But to me, man, that experience, that weekly experience of Return to Sabaody is unmatched. It is unmatched. Well, I can't really say that. It's the Reverie weekly experience was on the same level too of insanity and fun, but on a different type of level and skill, of course. But and the anime was so much fun too, man. But you know what? We'll continue on here, but just know I definitely appreciate you at the very least having that up there, you know, towards the higher half of the list. Number 22, Reverse Mountain. You know, whenever I think back to Reverse Mountain and the anime, it's definitely one of those arcs that I think I prefer. I wouldn't say strongly prefer, but I think I slightly prefer it in the anime, and a similar reason I do Luffy Town. But anyways, one of the major strengths of One Piece is that it can accomplish three kinds of storytelling at once, giving us a narrative that is immediately satisfying, giving us a narrative that will be satisfying in the near future, and giving us a narrative that will be satisfying in the long term. In the Reverse Mountain arc, we not only get a nice story about Laboon, but we also get introduced to Baroque Works, who will be the main antagonist of the saga, and also we get hints that will only pay off when Baroque is introduced years later. Reverse Mountain is short, but it also displays Ishiro Oda's wonderful talent as a writer. 130% agreed. That's all I gotta say about that one. Reverse Mountain greatness. Shout out to Laboon. Here we go. Number 21, Long Ring Long Land, man. I've seen people on the internet say stuff like, when I reached Day Back Fight arc, I nearly stopped reading. And man, why? I agree! Quitting a series that you love because it's slightly diverse from the hero fighting godlike enemies in order to participate in some fun games. Everyone has their own opinions, but your opinion of what fiction should be is wrong. That said, this arc is hilarious and great. Dave Backfight for me, you know, with the anime, bro, that might even be a top 10 anime arc for me. I love this arc in the anime. This is the perfect adaptation of that arc, of the Dave Back fight in the manga. It really is. The Dave Back fight in the anime for those first, from episode 207 to episode 219, I believe, it is perfection. Perfection. It is volume 32 on screen. It is so beautiful. I love that arc. Foxy, in both, like I said, in both English dub and Japanese. Fantastic. It is hilarious, and it never gets old. The games, Zoro and Sanji actually working together, Chopper and Zoro's bro moment. I mean, God, I love this arc. I love this arc, man. Shout out to Dave Backfight, coming in here at number 21. Number 20, Whiskey Peak. Hold on, man. I'm getting a little hype here, so I'm sweating a little bit. Man. Whiskey Peak, to me, was one of the arcs that I rewatched the most, only because it's so short. Whenever I feel like rewatching One Piece, especially years ago, Whiskey Peak. It had so many fun moments, man. Whiskey Peak is so cool. It's an anime arc with swagger, the kind that steps into a bar and buys everyone around. I want to be friends with Whiskey Peak, but I know deep down that Whiskey Peak is far too rad to be friends with me. Very, very good description there for Whiskey Peak, but definitely Whiskey Peak, a fantastic adaptation. This is another one of those arcs that I think whenever I go back, and I can't say that, I think they're about equal. In the manga, it's so good. Some of Oda's art and some of those panels are just so good, man. And the panel structure and the way that he does it, some of those color pages, yeah, it's about equal for me. I love both arcs, or I love both Whiskey Peak and both the anime and the manga. But that's definitely an arc on the higher part of my list. Number 19, the Reverie. Yo, the best thing with the Reverie arc is that it makes the world of One Piece a little more conveniently manageable. Oh, neat. All of the major side characters get to hang out for a while, while also opening a can of worms. What's with the giant straw hat? Facts. Because this most recent arc, I don't know if we've seen the ripples that it will create across the One Piece world, but I sure am excited to. I will say this about the Reverie. The Reverie for me in the anime would definitely be on the latter half of this list. The Reverie arc in the manga, bam! SSS plus tier. That's up there with Return to Sabaody and all that other stuff that I have in my favorites list. It's for me, it's one of those arcs that if I were to take volume 90, you know, or wherever in Flying Spiders I have that. Oh yeah, that's right. I took it with me on my trip. Here it is. If I took volume 90 and I had a choice between watch the anime portions of it and read volume 90, I would say this. I would say let me watch certain scenes in the anime that I really, really enjoyed, and let me read the rest of volume 90. In the manga, it was so perfect. And, you know, the anime, Toei went out of the way to really try and tell in a different order in certain episodes, which I appreciate, at the very least, the effort. But to me, just the original experience of the Reverie and then going back and rereading the arc after watching it in the anime almost entirely, because it's not finished yet. But after going back and rereading the entire arc in the manga is just a far superior version to me, and it just, you know, as much as I enjoy, watching the flashbacks because it remind me why I love the series, it does hinder the entire experience to a pretty, not a big extent, but definitely to a certain extent. So I would definitely have it on the latter portion of my list, just due to that. But if we're talking about the manga, like I said, Reverie's that's an SS plus tier. Post Annie's Lobby. This isn't the first time the Straw Hats have been forced to fill a place. However, this is the first time that it's felt like they'd be wiped out if they didn't. The return of Garp and the specter of the Yonko throw the Straw Hats into all new territory, one where maybe being the plucky underdog team isn't enough to save them from the threats that come. Also, Goofy Frankie joins the team, which provides a nice counterbalance to the hints of oblivion. Post Annie's Lobby is so much fun, yo. Post Annie's Lobby from episodes, 313 to 325. Fantastic stuff. Even the filler episodes in that are a lot of fun. I remember the Zoro one in particular. But those episodes are so much fun, to seeing the world go around. I've rewatched so many of those scenes so many times. Of course, Ace versus Blackbeard. Shanks meeting up with Whitebeard, man. Seeing the whole around the world. Seeing everyone's reactions to the fact that Luffy has 300 million on his head now. Just great stuff. Great stuff. And of course, seeing Kobe and Helmeppo again. I'll never forget first watching this in the anime. It was fantastic. This is another one of those arcs for me because, like I said, I first watched One Piece through the anime. So this is one of those arcs to me that is extremely nostalgic. Extremely nostalgic, man. Post Annie's Lobby greatness. Punk Hazard, yo. Punk Hazard. I'll give my thoughts on that in a second. Punk Hazard is home to one of my top 10 One Piece fights. Virgo versus Law and Smoker. Phenomenal. That was so much fun. Features one of my favorite locations, an island that is half fire and magma and half ice and snow, and home to an evil science base, and introduces a character that has only grown on me with time. Here's a hint on who he is. He laughs like shoo. He's kind of a prequel to Dressrosa, but in that spot, does a great job of furthering the menace of Doflamingo. Punk Hazard is so much fun, man. Punk Hazard has Law, it has Smoker, finally Smoker and Luffy and Arc again. It feels like classic One Piece and post-time skip One Piece, and it's hilarious, it's epic. It has some of the coolest one-liners with Law and with Zoro and with Sanji. It has an awesome post-Punk Hazard with Aokiji and Dofi. It had Luffy going in like Swimmer, Grizzly Magnum, Great Dragon Shock from Zoro. You had Usopp and Nami going up in like Swimmer. Has one of my favorite Nami moments whenever she's talking to the kids. Punk Hazard is so much fun, man. My only problem with Punk Hazard in the anime, which is the reason why I have it on the lower half of my anime list, or in the anime portion, definitely in the manga portion, I love it. But in the anime portion, it stretches out a bit too long for me on the running portions. Punk Hazard, you can really tell while watching it that they're really stretching out that middle portion of the arc. And that's the only thing that holds it back for me, because they handle those scenes so well. Episode 616 is one of the best episodes in the entire series from an animation standpoint. Phenomenal, which is what you're talking about. Virgo versus Law and Smoker. Beautiful. Law going up in there like Swimmer. Great Dragon Shock looks godly. Zoro versus Monet in the anime. Godly. Luffy versus Caesar, even though it was extended a little bit, a lot of fun. The entire post stuff, episode 625 and 626, man, or was it 624, 625, with Aokiji and Doflamingo. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. And Nami's scene in the anime is really good. The stuff with Mocha and the rest of the kids, and that flashback with Chopper, that was an amazing episode in the anime. That got me to tear up in the anime. The beginning of the arc, of course, a lot of fun. And then whenever they changed bodies, that was a lot of fun in the anime too. But there's just certain portions, man, where it was just it really stretched it on. You could tell in Punkcaster, man. You could tell. But aside from that, I can definitely see why it's this high for you, because it is such a fun arc with so many fun moments in Caesar greatness. I mean, how could you not love Caesar? Yeah. But anyways, number 16, post-war. The introduction of Sabo, aka Steampunk Ace, aka I'm just kidding, Sabo's kind of cool. And Luffy realizing that he has his crew to keep him going, make the post-war arc into a short but powerful cap to the pre-time skip era. You know, post-war for me is a top 5 arc in the anime. Post-war to me is it's perfect. It's perfect. It really is. Volume 60 and 61 in the anime is absolutely perfect to me. And Fight Together, it has Fight Together as an opening. All right, but I absolutely adore episodes 491 to 516. Adore. It's perfect. It really is. It's beautiful. It is, you know, showing all the Straw Hats, Rayleigh and Luffy, showing 3D2Y, showing what the rest of the Straw Hats are up to, and Frizzor, Mihawk, for the love of God, Nami up in Weatheria, and the entire ASL flashback, which in the anime was just done so well, man. Post-war greatness. Shout out to you for having it this high at number 16. Number 15, Amazon Lily. Before I get into what you're talking about, yes! Amazon Lily, to me, is another one of those arcs that the anime nailed. It nailed. Volume 53 in the anime, fantastic. Amazon Lily greatness. Certain parts of that were fantastic. Fantastic in the anime. Boa Hancock is a supremely underrated One Piece character with a terribly sad backstory. I teared up the last time I watched Amazon Lily for the scene whenever Luffy covers up the slave tattoo. Ooh, or the slave mark. That junk hurt. It hit home. It hits home even harder every time I watch. But last time in particular, which was I think in the dub, ooh, I was dead. I was in a pool of my own tears, son. That was a beautiful Luffy moment, and Amazon Lily, man. Amazing powers and a hilarious crush on Luffy. And Amazon Lily helps further the major trend that will reach fever pitch in Dressrosa of Luffy's amazing supporters, or amassing supporters, because he's just a dang old nice guy. Hopefully, Hancock will one day meet Bartolomeo, and together they will start a Luffy fan club and then argue about who gets to be president. Hey, I dare even Bartolomeo to get in the way of Hancock when she wants to be in front of Luffy. You know what I'm saying? Yo. Number 14 is the My Baby, the beloved Jaya. Yo, and you use the picture. You use the people's dreams never end. God. And if you were in the dark as to what themes of One Piece are, here comes Jaya with a flashlight. This is basically a montage of the things that are important to the Straw Hat crew, and introduces Blackbeard, a guy that will go from, oh, he seems interesting, to, oh, I hate him, over the next few hundred chapters. Luffy's saying, do I know how to throw a punch, you ask, before absolutely walloping Bellamy still gives me goosebumps. Same here. Jaya for me, without question, in both the anime and the manga. That's up there. That's a top 10, man. I love this. This picture right here. It might be my favorite scene in the whole series, let alone just Jaya in of itself. I love this arc. Like you were saying, the themes. Luffy and Zoro not fighting back against Bellamy the first time, to this very day, always gives me chills when they get back up. When they get up, and it's the way they can that the anime handles it from a storyboarding standpoint, and the way that the color palette is working. It's very shaded, and the room is very dark. So whenever Luffy and Zoro get back up, they're brushing themselves off. You hear the music. They leave the thing. You hear everybody's laughter, and then you hear Blackbeard's voice. Greatness, man. Absolute greatness. Jaya, Mont Blanc, Nolan. The absolute greatness that is the Knock Up Stream episode. Then you have Luffy vs. Bellamy in the legendary episode 151. Jaya greatness. Number 13. Thriller Bark. There's so much good to Thriller Bark. The spooky atmosphere, the introduction of Brook, the underrated Gecko Moria, the Bank Sake song. Yo, yo. The Straw Hats teaming up to face a giant zombie, etc. Just when you think it can't get any better, Kuma shows up and rocks the One Piece world. You know, Thriller Bark for me is such a half and half thing, man. When it comes to the anime, the manga, y'all already know how much I love Thriller Bark. When it comes to the anime, I feel like there's certain parts that are pretty stretched out in the anime that they try to stretch them out, and it hinders the experience at certain points. But there's just certain episodes that just look so flipping amazing. The direction, the visual. Let me specify that. The visual direction in Thriller Bark is S tier. It is so good, especially towards the latter half of that arc. Especially towards the latter half of that arc, man. My goodness. There are certain episodes towards the latter half of Thriller Bark that if somebody were to say it was their favorite episode in the series, I would say, I understand. I understand. Visually, goat. I'm serious. It absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal, man. The voice acting, the perfect voices in both the English version and in the Japanese version. For the cast like Beckham Moria, and the rest of his cohorts and whatnot. But man, dude, Thriller Bark. Yo, I'll never forget the first time that they were coming up with the anime episodes around that time, and the episode whenever they showed the Laboon flashback with I don't remember the exact episode number off the top of my head right now, with Brooke, and because I believe, yeah, man, I'm not gonna guess the year, but anyways, whenever that episode dropped, that was one of the most emotional moments, man, that I recall in the series. I mean, of course, then Big Sake was another one of those godly One Piece flashbacks that have been animated, right? But the Big Sake, Zoro versus Kuma showing up and using that Ursus shock, man, that was insane. All the Straw Hats against flipping oars. Yo, all of the Straw Hats versus oars, the way they storyboarded those episodes, go absolutely amazing. The Sindri stuff, absolutely hilarious. Dr. Hogback, he's another one of those like Moria. His voice in both versions is perfect. So Thriller Bark is just so enjoyable, man, from beginning to end, that I feel like the positives outweigh the negatives when it comes to the way that certain things are just dragged out because of how visually stunning it looks, how perfect the voice casting is for those characters, and how they just nail the setting and the atmosphere for that arc, and how they really show and match the intensity of the manga when it comes to the final portions of that arc. It's so good, absolutely fantastic, and I feel like Thriller Bark is definitely one of those arcs that the more you continue to go back and rewatch it and or read it, the more you appreciate it. It's such a good arc. Thriller Bark greatness. Coming up next now, this is very fascinating to me, man. Number 12 is Impelled Down. Hey, it's Buggy, Mr. 3, and Mr. 2. Just stop there. Hey, it's Buggy, Mr. 3, and Mr. 2. Luffy, Buggy, Mr. 3, Mr. 2. The only thing that matches that to me in terms of interactions is the Straw Hats. Luffy, Buggy, and Mr. 3, and then you put along Mr. 2 on that, is the funniest combo in the entire series. Impelled Down for me in the anime, you know, in the manga for me, it's without question very extremely high. In the anime for me, it's another thing like Thriller Bark, to where because I came into it from the manga first, certain portions they didn't match the pacing that the anime had. However, because they nailed the comedy so well from the manga, certain things are forgiven. My goodness, man, because this arc is seriously, to me, even though it is one of the darkest arcs in the series, how hilarious, bro, this arc is downright, it's a top 3 funny arc to me, man. It truly is. In One Piece, this is one of the top 3 funniest arcs in the entire series, and I blame the anime for it. I mean, of course I blame the manga for it, but I blame the anime for it, man. Those scenes with those characters, Buggy and Mr. 3 are the biggest trolls in the entire series, but whenever Luffy, Buggy, Mr. 3, and Mr. 2 are all trolling, oh, that's when you know that's when you know it's over, Chief. God, man. Some of those episodes with like Luffy going up against Magellan, Luffy almost freezing to death, and being, of course, rescued by the Rev Army. Whenever Luffy was surviving the shot, and he was trying to survive it, and everybody's giving him the cheer, the Ganbare Mugi-chan, so emotional, man. Whenever Luffy's just yelling Ace's name and he's trying to go down there. Some of those early episodes are really good, with like Jinbei and Ace down there, speaking with Garp. And then you see whenever Hancock goes down there and whatnot, hearing Crocodile for the first time and like seeing all those Crocodile Mr. 1 going up in like swimwear. Impelled Down has a lot of great moments in the anime, man. Some of those episodes are really, really good. Luffy vs. Blackbeard has done really well in the anime too. Towards that portion, Bon Clay's sacrifice never fails to get a tear out of my eye. And then both Luffy versus both Magellan fights are absolutely fantastic, and they handle the rest of the prisoners and the guards there very, very well. Like I said, the manga just has the perfect pacing, and the anime stretches it out a bit too much. But aside from that, it's a really, really fun arc in the anime. I can't hold or I can't say that it's not, because it truly is. Yeah, going back, I just recently rewatched it earlier this year with a friend of mine, and it's just so good. It's such a fun arc, man. Impelled Down, yo. Number 11. Oh man, this one right here is a top 5, maybe even top 3 anime arc for me. Drum Island. I've read an entire article about why the arc where we first meet 2020 Chopper makes me weep, so I'll try to be brief here. Drum Island is beautiful. It's a story of a little deer guy that couldn't find a place in the world, and the loud rubber bro that gave him one. It's an arc about the price of dreams and the power of having someone stand up for you when you need it most. It's about love and respect and kindness. And I'm about to cry again. Thanks a lot, One Piece. God, man. Drum Island, to me, is the perfect adaptation of One Piece arc from the manga. What is it? Episode 79 to 91. Every single time I go back and rewatch this, never fails to make me grateful for the fact that I got into this series. What a phenomenal arc, man. The soundtracks, the voice acting, the content that's being covered, episodes 84, 85, and 86, 87, 91. Bro, this arc has made me to cry so much I don't even know where to start. The lopping scene, the flipping bird scene, that whenever they're trying to save the life of the bird that's on top of the door, the flipping flashback, hero look speech. It's Drum Island, yo. If I were to ever try to get one of my friends or someone that I'm pretty close to, and I want to get into One Piece, but they refuse to try it, or I know that they don't even watch anime, I will tell them, yo, let's sit down and let's watch Chopper's flashback. And why would I say that? Because Chopper's flashback is something that you don't even have to be a fan of One Piece to enjoy that masterpiece that is that man's flashback. That's Chopper's flashback. Chopper's flashback is something that I believe anybody who just enjoys stories, or pretty much that just enjoys stories, or even if they don't enjoy stories or reading or whatever, bro, I feel like Drum Island would just hit, especially that flashback. But that particular story of Chopper's flashback, I feel like I could show it to anybody, and it would make them cry. It just hits home, man. And that final scene, when the sakura blossoms actually go up in the air, the way that's done in the anime, oh my gosh. Episode 91. Drum Island is perfect. In the anime, it is. It's a top 5, top 3 arc in the anime, without question. Number 10, Baratie. Let's go! The Baratie arc is the first hint that we'll get about how hectic the One Piece world is. We meet Sanji, we meet Don Krieg, and we meet Mihawk. And it's strong in the whole cast of the show combined at this point. Syrup Village is about leaving your comfort zones, and Baratie is about finding a home in the chaos that follows. Baratie is another one of those arcs that just with every rewatch and reread, I appreciate it more and more, because I feel like the more you progress through life, the more you appreciate this. Um, Sanji willing to leave behind what he's already, um, or Sanji leaving behind a life that's good for him. You know, he has all these people around him that care about him. I mean, of course, he banters and bickers with them, but it's part of the family. You know, I worked in a restaurant for a long time, and I know, and I went through this exact situation. That's why it hits home for me. And so, having to leave that place where he feels so comfortable with his family he's made there, in order to pursue a dream, is something I respect so much. This is why I love Sanji, man. Or the beginnings of why I love Sanji. You know, being in this restaurant and being really close to this entire family, and then leaving it and going out and actually going to pursue a dream, and pursue a dream with a new family, and go out and seek the world and go on an adventure, man. Take a risk on himself. Beautiful. That final scene in the anime, this scene right here where it shows in the picture, where he's saying thank you, Zeph. Oh, not Zeph. Never fails to get a tear out of me, man. And that legendary Zoro versus Mihawk scene in the anime, fantastic. Luffy versus Don Krieg is done really well in the anime too. But such an incredible arc in both the anime and the manga, man. Most certainly deserves that spot. Here comes number 9, G8. The best One Piece filler arc and the One Piece arc that I most revisit. It's only 11 episodes. Can you blame me? G8 is a One Piece greatest hits collection, and possibly the first thing you should show someone if they want to get into One Piece but don't have long to do so. That's actually a good idea. I never really thought about G8 being the thing I would show somebody. I always thought about like a special or a movie, but G8 really does fit that mold. But I can't blame for G8, man. G8 is truly probably the greatest filler arc of all time, across all the boards that I've ever seen from a filler arc standpoint. It's perfect. It, just like you said, Straw Hat's greatest hits collection. You see all of them in their glory. Some amazing character moments, a great story in of itself, and it's fantastic. And it takes place in the middle of Skypiea and right after Skypiea, which is extremely long in the anime. I mean, it's still a fantastic arc, but and it's one of my favorites. But it's a long arc, and then you have the upcoming CP9 saga, the Water 7 saga. But of course, the palate cleanser in the manga was the Daveback fight. In the anime, you get G8 and the Daveback fight. Think of that. That's fantastic. But yeah, G8, absolutely great. I don't know if I would put it above some of these other ones, but I respect the fact that you have it this high, and I can definitely see why it is that you have this high. You know, you said it's the One Piece arc that you revisit the most, which for me is Return to Sabaody. You know, so when I think about it in that standpoint, I'm like, you know what? I see it, man. G8 greatness. Number 8, Alabasta. Yeah. Are the Straw Hats ready for the Grand Line? Are they ready to topple evil villains to protect those that need help? That's what Alabasta asks, and the answer is, oh yeah. Luffy punching Crocodile up through the center of the city is an iconic moment, showing us that the Straw Hats, whether they mean it to be or not, are forces of good in the world. You know, Alabasta, I'll never forget the first time I went through. This is one of those arcs that I can immediately remember where I was and how it is that I caught up to this portion of the story. During Alabasta, right after the rain base, up until the end of the arc, from the beginning of rain base up until the end of the arc, was one sitting. It was one sitting. It was way too addicting. The rain base in the anime is some of the best stuff in the entire series. I mean, in the manga too, but the rain base portion of this is so good, and the way they handled it, even the filler is very, very enjoyable in Alabasta. But such a great arc. Episode 126, phenomenal episode. Episode 129, that scene right there, whenever they all throw up the X, that still is anime to me. Like, whenever I think of what anime is, that is anime. Is whenever they throw up that scene right there, it never fails to get me emotional. And it's really one of my favorite moments in the entire series. And it's mainly due to the fact that I watched it first in the anime. And whenever I go back and read it in the manga, it hits home because I remember that We Are instrumental plays right there. And it's such a phenomenal episode. That entire arc is done really well, and it brings back good memories whenever I first was going through the series, because Alabasta was the arc when I was getting into One Piece. That was the arc everybody loved. That was the arc that everybody was talking about. That this was what Soul Society arc is to Bleach, Tuning Exams to Naruto, Dark Tournament to Hakusho. Alabasta was that for One Piece. That was the arc at the time, and so I loved it so much. I still have it on DVD. Where is it? I still have Drum Island, but where is Alabasta? Alabasta's somewhere around here. Here it is. Still got it on DVD, man. Absolute greatness. Love those episodes. But man, that I'm telling you, that scene when they throw up the X, a sign of friendship, that is anime to me, man. Number 7, Marineford. Marineford is loud and chaotic and powerful, forcing Luffy into a situation where he is simply and especially energetic pawn on the chessboard of a battle. It's just as much a rescue mission as it is a quest for survival for him. But in the midst of Whitebeard and the 3 admirals and the Shichibukai, Luffy makes his mark. However, he doesn't do it through displays of awe-inspiring force, but through his willpower. Aokiji is right when he says that Luffy isn't ready for the stage yet. But the thing that he scares the Navy most is that one day he will be. You know, Marineford to me, first of all, Marineford is another one of those arcs to where I have that slight edge for the manga, because not only did I originally read it first through the manga, but those 3 volumes are so incredible. And Oda's art, those double page spreads back to back to back to back. I mean, Oda's art was it was A1, man. A1. But Marineford in the anime to me is such a blast. And to me, that's why I still have it extremely high on my anime list of the One Piece arcs, alongside the manga list. Because it just handles it so well. Even though certain things are stretched out, it doesn't matter because it's Marineford. You want to see more interaction between these characters. And whenever they do have those key moments, there's some of the best stuff in the entire series. Shanks showing up to Marineford is one of the greatest moments in the anime. Seriously, if in the manga it was fantastic, in the anime they nailed it. I still say that the legendary scene with Kizaru and Ben Beckman, man. Ben Beckman. I mean, absolute great stuff. The music cues, of course, Ace in Luffy's arms, man. Thank you for loving me. White, oh man, that's one of the greatest scenes in the entire series, in both the manga and the anime. Legendary One Piece wa Tetsuzaizu. One of the best scenes in the whole series. Luffy going up against the 3 admirals. My goodness, man. With the 3 admirals soundtrack playing in the background from Strong World. Fantastic stuff. Whenever Roderick is revealed to be Ace's father, one of the scenes that really give you goosebumps in the entire series. Rouge's flashback is handled very, very well. Whitebeard, whenever he shows up, Marco going up and deflecting Kizaru, Aokiji first going up. I mean, it's so much fun. Marineford in both the anime and the manga is just absolutely fantastic. It's so much fun in both versions. And I can say that because I just finished rewatching it earlier this year, that entire saga with a friend of mine, and it just reminded me how much I love that arc, man. And it really does hold a candle to the manga, and the manga is a masterpiece in itself, but the anime is also a masterpiece when it comes to Marineford. It's so much fun. The recaps may be a bit long, yes, but it doesn't. The negative, the positives, the highs definitely outweigh the lows when it comes to Marineford in the anime. So right here, coming up here in number 7, coming in number 6 on Daniel's list is Sabaody Archipelago. And this is not a happy arc; it is a satisfying one. Luffy punching the Celestial Dragon will never get old. One of the best scenes in the entire anime, and it's an illuminating one. So rarely, y'all. But it's not one that will end with cheering. Kizaru shows up to put an entire generation of pirates in their place, and Kuma wipes out the Strahds. That's it. Even if it concludes with the most uncertain moment in the series, it's still a fun ride. I think Sabaody is another one of those arcs that is like right next to its manga counterpart. It is such a phenomenal arc in the anime. The pacing is perfect. The voices they chose for all supernovas, absolutely incredible. The Luffy punching the Celestial Dragon scene is, to me, just as good, if not better, than it was in the manga. I think it might even be better, man. When he punches him, it goes black and white. It's absolutely fantastic. And the music accompanying it, great stuff as well. whenever they have that scene with Shaki and Rayleigh at the bar, whenever Rayleigh is talking about the past with Roger, and Robin is asking about the voice century and the D, and of course Usopp asks about the whenever Usopp asks about the One Piece, bro, and Luffy tells him to shut his mouth. Great stuff. I Won't Die, Partner, one of the GOAT scenes, GOAT Roger scenes in the entire series, in that particular portion. And then you have whenever Kizaru shows up, absolute great stuff. He arrives on the bomb, goes up on all the supernovas. So much fun to watch every time. And then the legendary episode 405, man. One of the saddest episodes in the whole series, when they absolutely nailed Pink Sake. Oh, the flashbacks. Nah, man. Sabaody is incredible in the anime. Oh, this right here. On a good day, this is my number one. On a good day, this is my number one. This is what got me into this medium. This is the arc that got me into this medium. Number 5. Arlong Park. Now you know what number 2. And a good day's number 2. I don't think anything can surpass my number 1 arc in the anime. It's gonna be really hard. An arc has to be perfect. Wano can do it. I think Wano can do it, but an arc has to be perfect in order for it to surpass what my number 1 arc in the anime is. But anyways, Nami's the soul of the Straw Hat Crew. Thank you, bro. I've been saying that for years. Nami is the soul of the Straw Hat Crew, and learning what she's been through at the hands of the despicable Arlong is heartbreaking. Facts. But Luffy doesn't need to know every little detail to know that he needs the help, and the Straw Hats walk to Arlong Park is another one of those. One Piece is literally the best thing ever moments. Facts, 100% facts. And by the end, every Straw Hat bro gets a victory. Luffy gets a bounty. Nami gets her freedom. And what does she do with this freedom? She joins a ship full of dummies as her navigator, and I'm so happy about that. Arlong Park, to me, in the anime is an absolute masterpiece. Volumes 8, 9, and 10 are incredible. Absolutely incredible in the manga. The anime, though, from episode 33 to episode 44 or 45, I think it is, like I said, it got me into this medium, man. It really did. That's when everything changed. That's when I said, yo. Because up until that point, of course, it was all, I already loved the series. But when this hit, I said, yo, this is the GOAT. And it hasn't changed since then. It has not changed. Nami's flashback. The fact that whenever we see all that she was going through just for the Straw Hats, let alone what she was going through within herself, with Bellemere and with Nojiko and with the entire situation with Kokoyashi Village. But then she was also going out of her way to protect the Straw Hats too, faking Usopp's death by wounding herself. And you see everything she's going through. She continues to get screwed over and over and over again. That's whenever you get episode 37. With the walk to Arlong Park. Bro, listen, man. Top 3 scene. Whenever Luffy puts the straw on her head, man. I mean, yelling for help. That scene is so agonizing. It hurts so much when you watch it. And the voice acting is perfect. The Arlong. Rah. And then Luffy, putting the straw on her head, man. And you remember, and the flashback, he was so perfect when Luffy says, yo, don't touch my treasure. And now he actually puts it on her head. Yo, you see the tear come out? And my man Luffy says, of course I will. Yo. That is the GOAT right there, man. And then, of course, which ones are long? They go up in, like, swimwear. Luffy says one of my favorite lines in the whole series whenever he basically gives his role of, like, yeah, I can't do this, I can't lie, can't use a sword, I can't cook, what I can do is whoop you, dog. I can throw hands, dog. I love that scene because that's Luffy being self-aware and understanding what his role is, man, and who he is, what he can do, and that's why he needs other people, he needs to rely on other people. It's so beautiful. And then, of course, Luffy destroying those episodes whenever he was destroying Nami's room, man. Whenever he finishes pointing Arlong, and the very first thing he says is, Nami, you are my Nakama. But brings a tear to your eye. I love Arlong Park. Arlong Park, to me, it's so GOAT, man. It's why it'll never, on either the anime or the manga side, I don't care if the GOATest of GOAT arcs happen from here on out in One Piece, man. Arcs are going to have to skip it. Because this arc, at the very least, is not leaving 5. At the minimum, is not leaving 5th place. Arlong Park is my baby. It is the GOAT. It is amazing. That's why my Discord server is called the Return to Arlong Park. I love it with all of my heart. It's not my favorite arc because I just feel like there's a few other arcs that I love more than it due to either importance to certain things or how it's impacted me personally and whatnot. But in terms of being the very first, like, whenever I declared the series is the greatest thing ever, Arlong Park exists, man. Every single time I look back on it, I look back on it with a thank you to Oda. That I'm glad that I'm alive and to have experienced this greatness, man. Arlong Park, the greatness. One day, I might even just make a Recon piece on Arlong Park, man. One day. It's Arlong Park, man. Y'all know how much I love. Y'all know how much I love Nami. Let alone how much I love this arc, man. Anyways, Arlong Park. I stay here all day, and then we get to another arc I love. Annie's lobby. Annie's flipping lobby, man. For many, Annie's lobby is the arc, and I'm not disagreeing with them. It's just a display of raw emotion, exciting battles, and non-stop roller coaster of everything that makes One Piece great. And it ends with a Viking funeral for the going married, a scene that reveals Oda's true power as a writer. He makes you sob about a ship. That's still, I think, my favorite episode in the series. In terms of straight up an adaptation, that is the perfect adaptation of chapter 430. Perfect adaptation of chapter 430, man. Episode 312, that Viking funeral for the Mary, never fails to get to me. Never fails. But that entire arc from episode 263 to episode 312 is absolute awesome sauce, man. To me, if I had to put it in terms of just anime, it would still be in the top 5 for sure, but I wouldn't be able to put it in the top 3, mainly due to the amount of flashbacks, or the amount of filler and flashbacks that were just misplaced within the arc. Which those fillers and flashbacks are great, but the placement of them is what is why I can call it a perfect adaptation, like I can the other part of the saga. But Annie's lobby, man. I mean, I've talked about it so many times before about how Volume 41 and Volume 44 have impacted me. But God, man, from episode 270 or episode 272 to 278 is arguably some of the most incredible stretch of episodes / chapters being 393, 398. But those, just that stretch of the series, Volume 41, man. And in the anime, the way they do it, man, from the Gear second reveal against Blue No, Luffy fighting up with Blue No, then all of them go up. Luffy yells at Robin. All of them have that walk to the standoff. They all go up there. You hear the legendary music at the end of episode 274. You go back and get Robin's flashback, one of the best, if not the best flashback in the anime. I had to think about that because the anime has some phenomenal flashbacks, but one of the best flashbacks in the anime. And the legendary I Want to Live scene, episode 278, arguably one of the greatest episodes ever created in anime. Just, man, Sogeking shoots on that flag, bro. And then legendary rest of the battles that they had whenever they all got episodes dedicated to their fights, man. I mean, not just chapter, in episodes. And that's what I liked. I liked how the anime stretched out those portions at the very least. Luffy versus Rob Lucci, man. In the anime, absolutely godly. Absolutely godly. And I'm so happy that Enies Lobby continued being this great, because after, this was the arc that in the middle of it got a time slot change. And so you could tell that there was certain difficulties, but they still managed to get through it, man. It was absolutely phenomenal. And just episode 309 and 310 and 311 and 312, just the emotional, man. It just never stopped being emotional. And Robin's story, I mean, it's such a phenomenal arc, and he's flipping lobby. But if we're just sticking to just the anime, it's such an amazing arc. It's all the music cues. It's very nostalgic for me. I don't care. I had the rose tinted glasses on, but how could I not for this arc, man? I mean, it's an arc I love with all my heart. And even though it does have its issues with its pacing and with the way that it stretches out certain things in the end, but I don't give a flying flag, bro. It's Enies flipping lobby, dog. The greatness. But anyways, coming in number 3. Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. This isn't my top 5 anime. For anime, without question, Whole Cake Island is number 3 on Daniel's list. Whole Cake Island, number 3. If Enies Lobby is about being a hero, then Whole Cake Island is about letting that idea go. The Straw Hats can't beat Big Mom or her crew, and we'll have to settle with getting Sanji, with getting Sanji and getting out. And Katakuri, the protective brother of the Charlotte family, learns that he doesn't have to be perfect all the time. It's a beautiful arc that shows that Oda is willing to play around with some of the pre-established ideas of One Piece. This arc, if I'm just gonna stick with, I mean, it's already one of my favorites in the entire series, just in general. But if we're sticking with just the anime, this is the best arc in the anime in so long, man. Just as an adaptation, my goodness, bro. There are so many rewatchable episodes. The whole arc is rewatchable. But man, dude, Whole Cake Island, dog. Episode 877 is my favorite final episode for any of these, for any arc, and this is coming from, like I said, a person who previously thought that the or I still think it, the Nakama scene. To me, the Nakama scene, the X 129 in Alabasta, is anime. Episode 312, The Going Mary's Farewell. It might be my favorite episode in the series. And even with all that being said, episode 877, the final episode of Whole Cake Island, is the best final episode to an arc in the entire series to me. Whole Cake Island, Sanji and Pudding, Sanji, Luffy and Cat, Carrot, Pedro, Cherma, Pig Mamu, Charlotte and Linlin. All of the wedding scenes, Pudding's heel turn, Luffy versus Sanji, Sanji's flashback, the Germa, the Power Rangers, Luffy and Cracker, Luffy and Cat, Snake Man, but not above all of that, Sanji and Pudding's relationship and the way that was handled on screen in the anime, in those key episodes, back before the heel turn, after the heel turn, in the wedding, after the wedding, the comedic moments, whenever they were cooking the cake for Big Mom, Big Mom's soul pocus. Whole Cake Island is, I love that arc so much, man. Just in general, but in the anime, it was just done so well, man. It was so goat. And Kata flipping Curry being voiced by Sugita, which is Gintoki, and Joseph Joestar. But God, I love that arc, man. And those final stretch of episodes, man. Pudding. Anyways, man. Number 3 is Whole Cake Island on Daniel's list. Number 2. I'm just gonna say this. If I ever do an anime-only arc list, this is more than likely my number 1. Before I read what Daniel says right here for why it's number 2. Water 7 is my most rewatched anime arc in anything. Return to Sabbat is my most reread manga arc, but my most rewatched anime arc is Water 7. And the reason for it is because Water 7, every single time one of my friends or somebody that I know, or when I'm watching somebody's reactions or something is catching up to it, I always watch alongside, even if I'm not next to them. Even if I'm not next to them. I love episodes 230 to episode 255 just that much. It's that simple. The anime handled those 25, 26 episodes that well that I just go back and rewatch them just for the hell of it because they're just so phenomenal. They are so phenomenal. The anime just did such a fantastic job. I cannot help but go back and rewatch those episodes. I can't help it. If I were to think about it in terms of both the anime and the manga, and overall, Water 7 and his lobby as a whole is definitely still, of course, really high up there for me. Probably 2 or 3. I mean, I have to think about it one day, but maybe number 1. But it's absolutely phenomenal stuff. But Water 7 in the anime, man. Episode 232, 233. 234 with the walk to the 233 with Usopp and Frankie, 234 with the walk to the Frankie house, 235 with the legendary argument between Usopp and Luffy, which had the incredible color palette shining in whenever the sun was coming down and it was shining upon them, and then the voice acting. 236, one of the saddest episodes in the entire, Luffy versus Usopp, man. And then 237, Luffy versus Frankie. You have the CP9 reveal starting to come up with episodes 239, 240, 241, 242, 243, 244, 245, and it continues to escalate, and then you head into the stuff after the aftermath of the CP9 reveal. You get one of my favorite Nami moments in the entire series whenever she's crying out to Luffy saying, "What in the flying planets are you doing? Robin is going on. Oh, the whole entire crew is coming. It's being destroyed. This is an arc about the straws." You have the Going Merry that was just said in episode 234. They have to get rid of it. Then you get to see Usopp with the Globotterman and why that one thing that showed up in Skypiea is important. And then you see Frankie. You see Frankie's flashback and the iceberg. Lucci. Robert D. Lucci. Robin. Is Robin heel? Is she a face? I mean, Water 7, man. And never, I can always go back to that arc and rewatch it and be like, yo, I love One Piece, man. This is why it's my GOAT. in the anime, that stuff right there is I mean, in the manga too. But because I watched it first in the anime, it has this sense of nostalgia too to it. And Kokoro no Chizu as an opening is absolutely perfect. But God, do I love that portion of the series so much, man. I really do. I really, really do, man. Those first 2 episodes I've rewatched so many times. With the walk to the Frankie house and Luffy versus Usopp, man. God. And the whole introduction to the island itself, the way the mystery comes up, the Blue Note going past Robin, the whole CB9 and the masks, and I don't know, man. Just the way Oda perfectly mixed mystery with character relationships and this emotional, and how all these plots and stories from all these arcs come, building up, exploded at once. Water 7. Water flipping 7. And coming in at number 1, the absolute greatness of Skypiea. Well, actually, hold on, before I do that, let me read the Water 7 comment first. It says, Robin leaves, Usopp defects, Luffy's forced to do things that no captain wants to do, and a villainous team shows up that seems unstoppable. Water 7 will be the first half of a story that continues on his lobby, but I find it to be the better one, though not by much. It's an arc that constantly leaves you saying, well, what else could go wrong? And then something else does, and it's just so good. 100%. 100%. Even though I think I actually enjoy, to the core story, I actually enjoy his lobby a bit more. But Water 7 in the anime to me is perfection. It is perfect. The number 1 is Skypiea for Daniel Dockery, man. Skypiea, man. Skypiea. God, I love this arc. Daniel says, this is it. Everything good about One Piece, from the powerful villain with a great weakness, to the touching themes, to enchanting locations, to the gripping adventures, is wrapped up in Skypiea. While I have no problems with arcs being connected, there's just something about the standalone nature of Skypiea that leads me to regularly revisit it. It's an arc that makes me glad that I started this nearly 900 episode adventure in the first place, and that's the highest compliment that I can give. Yo, first of all, now to finish this, Daniel, thank you very much for allowing me to do this and go back and go through your entire list and seeing how you enjoyed, or this was actually a lot of fun, just being able to go back and see where you put certain arcs, whatnot. But Skypiea is such a phenomenal arc, man. You know, I have my grips with the arc in the anime being a little stretched out. You know, it's definitely, even with that, including that in the manga, it's still a top 3 arc for me. I love Jaya Skypiea. Just that entire saga is phenomenal. But you are most certainly right, man. Skypiea as its own standalone thing is just so phenomenal. And Luffy ringing that bell at the end is one of my favorite moments in the entire series. God, man, just dreams do come true. And Mont Blanc, Nolan, and Calgara's flashback, the themes that are presented in it, NL as a character, and it's absolute greatness, yo. You look back and you remember Bon Voyage playing as you're going through, and you're going up the flipping Jack the Beanstalk, and you just think back to Conus. You think back to when they first got there, Upper Yard, the ordeals, and just seeing Skypiea for the first time. And God, it's so much fun. True sense of adventure, man. I'll never forget first going through that and going through it again and again and again in both the anime and the manga. It's just so much fun. It is One Piece. You said it. You said it, man. Skypiea greatness. Coming in right here is Daniel Dockery's number 1. I just want to say thank you once again to Daniel Dockery for making this list, because it was so much fun to go back and go through this again, or to go through somebody else's anime, because I've never seen anyone just rank the arcs when it comes to like an anime exclusive list. So it really allowed me to look back on it and think, and this was a lot of fun because not only was I able to compare like with my own opinion and whatnot, but I was able to look back on it and say, you know, if I was looking from an anime only perspective, how would I feel about this? And it was really, really cool for me because I was able to see it from a different perspective for the first time. So that was a lot of fun. It was great, and I can look back to this as reference for somebody who's only experienced the anime. But man, dude, this was a lot of fun. You know, I really do appreciate him for taking the time, because I know this must have been tough. You know, ranking all these arcs, it takes a long time, and I know from experience. But it was a lot of fun just being able to go through all of these and seeing where they ranked and seeing where how high certain things were and how certain things resonated with you, yo. So thank you for giving me that opportunity to see how your adventure with One Piece was, yo. But yeah, man, I hope everybody has an awesome day. Thank you very much for watching this or listening to this. I know this is a bit on the longer side of my recon pieces, but y'all know how my videos are on this channel, man. They're always gonna be long. But if you stayed along up until the end, man, definitely thank you very much I really do appreciate that, because I know this is very, very long and going through it, but definitely do appreciate it. And I hope all of you are having a good one, having an awesome sauce of a day, yo. But it was great just being able to go back and look through this and see, you know, like I said before, how certain arcs resonated with you, how certain arcs didn't resonate with you as much, and seeing where you thought about certain filler arcs. It's really cool to know that you have G8 that high, and just seeing how you thought about certain things. And of course, whenever you have something I really love really high, it's always really cool too, because I'm like, oh, you love that arc just as much as I do. You understand, you know. So that was dope. But aside from that, man, I really hope to do one of these later on this year. I was waiting until Wano ended, but I might not be able to hold it anymore, man. I've been wanting to do this rank in the arc stream. Last one I did was in 2015, so this time I'll be able to put in Whole Cake and a completed Zoe, because last time Zoe wasn't over, so I'll be able to have a completed Zoe, completed Whole Cake, and a completed Reverie, and in about 4 years worth of reread and rewatches that I've been doing alongside with Khan, by myself, with my friends. So it'll be a brand new list, and if I bring on some new people to do this rank, I mean, it's gonna be a long stream. Last stream was like 6 hours, so it's gonna be a long stream, but for One Piece, no time is too long, you know what I'm saying. But once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope everybody's an awesome day. This has been the Recon's Piece. Peace out. Have an awesome one. Keep loving that One Piece greatness, yo. It's the best-selling manga in history for a reason. Shout out to Along Park one more time, and Arlong Park, baby.